Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me for the very first time is our shimmering showrunner. Say hi, shimmering showrunner.
Hi, shimmering showrunner.
My gosh, Paul, thank you so much for joining me. Such an exciting week. We have the first episode of Smartypants in the books. Got the trailer for Thousand Airs 2 days from now, as of when we're recording this. And obviously, Dropout Emmy season in full swing.
Oh my God,
Things went out to the voters today, or at some point. Someone posted on Reddit that they had Dropout Emmy stuff in their inbox. But before we jump into all of that, as a PA on Drunk History, did you have to buy booze for people?
Oh my God, you did your research. Jeez Louise, where did you even find that I was a PA on Drunk History? Yes,
it's
I
on
did.
Your LinkedIn. Yeah.
It's on my LinkedIn. That was my first comedy job, and I was like so excited to get that job, and I had been working at a different place that I just was really unhappy at, and so they called me to be a PA, and I quit my other job day of. I gave no notice, and I went over to Drunk History, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. And it was really cool to see how everything is made. Yes, I did have to buy booze. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? I think the guests had to provide their own booze because we couldn't use network money for that. And like we reimbursed them. But I would buy the booze that the host, Derek Waters, would imbibe. And then, you know what else was cool about that job? My favorite part was getting to drive the talent to and from the storytelling. Because we would sometimes shoot in their homes, but sometimes we would stage an Airbnb. And so I would get to like drive around with the comedians as they, after they did their story. So I got to drive around Paul F. Tompkins, Cameron Esposito, Lauren Lapkus. And when Paul F. Tompkins came and did Dirty Laundry last season, I was like, hey, we've actually met before. He didn't remember, of course.
Yeah.
So I was like, many, many, many years ago, I was a PA and I drove you to your house. And now I'm directing you on Dirty Laundry and you're having drinks once again.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful full circle moment.
That's incredible. Yeah. As someone who was a PA, they don't, it's fair that you don't remember a PA. Like there's a lot of us and we do and especially that night, probably.
Especially that night. Also, it had been so many years prior. Of course, right. I remember. I mean, it was very significant for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I have one small bone to pick with you. Yeah. And it's really like it's you and I would say Erika Ishii are the biggest problems in my Instagram world, which is sometimes I open your stories in public and I immediately have to be like, and I immediately have to be like, oh, like I find it delightful. But if someone is over my shoulder, it probably looks like I'm looking at pornography.
You know what? I'm sorry.
I love it.
I'm sorry if I've ever embarrassed you.
No, it's fine. I do wonder, do you have like a set Speedo budget set aside?
No, I cycle through the same like 5 pairs of underwear, which for people who are watching this and don't even know what you're talking about, what you're talking about is not actually pornographic. It's a comedy show.
Not at all. Yes.
I do things for a comedy show hosted by Oscar Montoya, Mano Agapian, who Dropout lovers will know and love. They do a drag show here in LA, and I'm one of the pit crew boys for that. So I dance around and I prance around in my little underwear sometimes, and it's fun. It's liberating. Who cares? We all have we all contain multitudes.
I genuinely love it. I love when it shows up. It just is periodically, I am at like a comic book store and I'm like, oh, I hope there wasn't a child standing near me as I opened that story. Because they might have questions.
Maybe I'll start posting like little warnings and I'm like, don't click next story yet unless you're not.
No, it's on me. I shouldn't be on my phone in public. I should enjoy life, right? Yeah.
It's your fault.
You've been with Dropout since before Dropout existed. You're like I mean at this point an OG of college humor. You joined in what, 2015 as like, I mean, that's a long time. How did you come to Dropout? What was that transition from, I mean, you're in the comedy world, obviously. And then, I guess we can get into the arc of starting at like assistant, I mean, really like working your way up through the Dropout world.
It's funny. You're right. At this point, I'm an OG, which still sounds so bizarre to me. But I started in 2015 as an assistant. At that time, the company was not even Dropout or College Humor. It was called Big Breakfast, which was our TV arm, where we would develop projects and pitch them to networks and try to get things on network television, such as Adam Ruins Everything. We had another series on MTV. Like that was kind of what this branch of the company did. And I got that job because of a producer that I had become friends with on Drunk History. So it was as simple as that. She helped get my resume in the door and I interviewed for it and I got it. And since then, I've kind of just been with the company ever since. Like started off as an assistant, became a coordinator, then a senior coordinator. Then I started writing more. And then when we became Dropout, I became more involved and more hands-on, and I had more creative control over certain things. And it was really like post-COVID, because then the layoffs happened and I was affected by that. So it was like a year of not really working full-time for the company. But I was still doing like freelance stuff for Game Changer and a lot of our social media. And then when I came back, it was just like the company had a new vision. We better understood what worked well for us. And I don't know, they kept me around. Hey, I feel very lucky every single day. I'm like, I don't even know like how I got so lucky to have the job that I do. It's
Well,
fun. The
I will
people
say,
are great.
yeah, I will say this, like Kyle Rohrbach and I chatted, I don't know, last week, sometime while he was on break, because he had a glass of wine and he was enjoying his life. And he says that you are a creative mastermind at Dropout. Says you solved the gastronauts problem, which obviously I don't know what exactly that means, but basically the show only works because of you working out the, like, original premises back in 2019 that like no longer exist, and like moved it all through production.
I don't know. I don't know if that what he's referring to specifically with that show. I do think that everything is so collaborative that it's just like there's a story like that for every person at the company. Like if it weren't for this person's idea of how to do XYZ, we wouldn't have been able to like get the show the way that it is. So I appreciate the compliment from Kyle, but he's equally as brilliant. So and as is David and Sam and everyone who works on the things that we make. Yeah, it's a great team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems it's one of those things. It's really interesting to see how many people stick around for such a huge amount of time, which feels very unusual at really any level, but especially in entertainment. Of even like editors. Like I tried with Eve Hines, and she's been there for years and years and years and years and
Yeah.
years. And it's really cool to see the company, like the talent incubator on screen, but also seemingly off screen of like, like you move from coordinator, senior coordinator to now showrunner on Smartypants, as well as, the creative producer and all kinds of other, 1,000 other titles that you hold.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think when we set out to make a show, we have the goal of it not only being enjoyable and fun for people to watch, but also for the talent on screen to participate in, and also for the crew to work on. Like all around, we want everybody to enjoy themselves and have a good time and to have like a really supportive, fun environment on set. So I'm happy that that's the case. I think that generally people have a good experience working with us and for us. Eve is incredible. The editors that we have are great. I mean, once we find people that we really work well with, we tend to bring them back and keep working with them. And yeah, I'm like really happy with what we've built.
Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible. It feels weird because I just keep name dropping people, and I'm not intending to do that. But like I talked to TJ as well, of like,
Yeah,
like
there's
another person
well,
who's
which
been there,
TJ? Dumpster.
Dumpster.
Yeah,
Yeah, has been there forever as well, and now has sound mixing. I don't know how you could sound mix on every single show, but hey, shout out to him. But yeah,
yeah.
it's very cool to see all of that. To sort of starting to get to see that peek behind the scenes, that I get to, for some reason I don't understand, very much enjoy.
It's really
Yeah,
cool to like hear you talk about us as though we're like, I don't know, like we're just ordinary people, and then you're like shouting out these people like, wow, yeah, like Eve, TJ, like as if they were like known to the world.
I
Myself too.
mean,
But
yeah,
I
you
feel,
should be. So,
hey,
like
it's still
the
it's
work you do
still
is, yeah.
it's just wild to me even when like someone like will approach me and be like, "Oh my god, I love Dropout," and I'm like, "How do you even know who I am?" I'm like like I don't even know.
People know you for holding different swords and
Oh my
asking
god,
them
I
to be
get to hold
named
even more.
in this next coming season. The beast of a season for Make Some Noise. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I super excited. Yeah, I am. It's very funny because like that kind of thing, like you come out with the swords and whatnot, still feels very much like a PA type job. And obviously, like you've moved well past that. Is it just like a deep love of comedy that you're like, oh, this is going to be very funny. I want to be involved in this.
For sure. So I perform as well. Like I do improv at UCB and Second City, or I used to at Second City at least. And so whenever I get to do anything on camera, it's just fun for me. I enjoy doing it. And the opportunities are a little fewer now that I'm like more involved in higher level decisions of the show, because it's not like I could ever be on Game Changer because I work on it and
Mhm.
it so hinges on players being surprised by stuff. So and same with other shows. Like I just wouldn't be a good fit for like Make Some Noise, for instance. So like as a contestant. So when little things appear, like uh little cameo spots, and somebody needs to do it, I'm like, hey, I'll happily do it. I'll happily like get on stage and hand something to Sam. And he calls me on the show. I think he's like my assistant, Paul. And like obviously I'm not his real assistant, but it's just fun to like play that part.
Yeah,
It's not too
yeah,
different from what I
that's
do for
very
Bad
fun.
Drag Race. I'm just a
Yeah,
stagehand.
yeah, it's also cool that you are getting now more on-screen stuff. Obviously, Dirty Laundry and Smartypants. Do
Smarty.
you have a presentation coming this year, or are you just a society member?
So, good question. Every society member gives a presentation. So everyone in the audience gives
Okay,
a presentation at some point during the season. And I do have one as well.
wonderful. I'm very much looking forward to it. Madly in love with that first episode.
Good. I'm glad you said
I
that.
just like I as someone who has never done, I'd never been part of like the PowerPoint party vibe. I still like instantly just like fell in love. Um, uh,
That's a show that we had been kicking around for some time. And I'm so happy we finally were able to do it. Originally, it was going to lean a lot more into the PowerPoint party vibe. People in a living room, red solo
mhm.
cups, snacks, like in somebody's den, just giving presentations. And then it sort of evolved into the cool, like, society feel. And we were going to lean a little bit harder into like secret society. And these are the people that kind of control the world from behind the curtain. And like, there's not quite that level of lore in it anymore. It's just a light touch. But I love what we did with it. I love the set. Caitlin Williams designed it. The library was so beautiful. It was the first time that we had a set that was like a 4-wall kind of situation. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and then we had everybody kind of like dress up a little more nicely, and everybody came really excited to present and a little nervous. It was like really different from anything else we had done, because normally we invite players to just come on and like be themselves and not have anything prepared. And this time they had to prepare quite a bit.
Yeah. So as showrunner, how
Mhm.
involved in you are like comedians' presentations, or is it a surprise, sort of what they're bringing to the table to you as well?
It wasn't a surprise to me. So I collected pitches from them. But actually, in some cases, they would like give me an idea and I would initially, instantly think it was great. I didn't want to be too controlling over the topics. Other times they would present me with like a couple of ideas saying, hey, which one sounds better to you? And I would help guide them. But I knew all of them coming in. And I also had oversight on the presentations themselves, like the slideshows, because the
Mhm.
comedians would kind of write out a little script of what they had in mind for each slide, but then a graphic designer was the person who would actually like go and make it. So we had an amazing team of graphic designers who worked on all of these, and we would have to like look at them again and again and again to make sure there were no typos, to make sure that we cleared all the many images
Yeah.
that were in each one. We had so many conversations with legal regarding where we could pull images from, what was licensable, how many seconds of a clip of a movie are we allowed to show. Like there were a lot of technical things we needed to get right. And so there weren't really as many surprises for me as I was watching. But everyone else had never seen anyone else's topic. And so they came in fully like blind.
Are you back? You're cutting out a little bit for me,
Oh no. Well, thankfully, I think for
which is
Riverside,
fine
like,
because obviously with Riverside, it's recording from both
yeah,
ends, so like it'll be fine in the edit.
yeah, just fix it in post.
So if there's ever a long pause after you finish saying something, it's because you've frozen a little bit for me. That's the only reason why.
That's what I suspected. I'm not really sure what could be behind that.
Look, it happens a lot. I record on Riverside a lot, and just periodically, it's like we're gonna freeze a lot today. So it's a mystery to me. Oh boy, this was a bad one. Okay, great.
Oh no.
All good. Yeah. I like watching that first episode. I did like notice in the credits the huge amount of credits that had to go to like pictures of where all of the images came from. And I thought, when I saw it, I was like, oh boy, that seems like a real nightmare to have to clear all of that. I very, very briefly in my entertainment world worked in like product placement clearances stuff, and boy, yeah, what a fun job it was of just like calling companies and be like, hey, not even calling them, but like being like, hey, we have a shirt that has the Coca-Cola logo, but it doesn't say Coca-Cola. Can we use that? And like having to run that up to NBC legal. Anyway, yeah, I don't envy that process at all. But I mean, I think, it turned out, the thing that turned out so well with that is how engaging then the presentations are in terms of, like such cool graphics and images and everything else that came along with it.
Yeah, it was really interesting to learn about that process, to be honest, because it wasn't really something that we had thought about much at the very beginning. And a lot of people chose topics dealing with popular culture or, history. And we obviously need visuals for all those things. And that led to a lot of questions about where can we source photos from and what is it that we can say about them? Can we, critique them? Do the comedians have to kind of tiptoe around certain things? And thankfully, legal was pretty much on the side of, hey, if something is in the name of commentary or critique, then you are allowed to talk about them, mention them, depict them. And then we just had to like buy certain images. I mean, it was a whole thing, but I'm really happy with how all the presentations came out. In some cases, it was like, oh, well, I wish we could use this photo, but we can't because it's copyrighted. So we have to use this one instead. But that's all just like legal, boring stuff. The outcome, I think, came out great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, the first episode was obviously incredible. The trailer was incredible. I've seen, like, as someone just deep in the Dropout community everywhere, people so excited about the show. Just, like everyone instantly just like clicked with it. It seems really, really fun. I will say, I think also I'm assuming that you shot these in like big batches because obviously like we saw some different folks in the gallery during the different presentations. Is it a matter of just like pulling out presentations that you think vibe well together and sort of editing them into an episode? How is that process going for you?
Yeah, pretty much. It was something that we really had to think hard about. I think at the very beginning, we were thinking that we were going to pull presentations from across the different days and group them together, just depending on exactly what you said, whether they worked well together, whether there was a good balance of newer faces with familiar faces and that kind of thing. And then that led to something really tough, which was the audience would be so inconsistent. The group that you see in the opening shot would be different from the group that you see at the end. It wouldn't quite make sense to like cut to different audience shots of people who are not even there later in the episode. So we decided to keep presentations from within the same group. Easy. And so then it just became a matter of, just balancing out who from each group goes well together, who thematically we wanted presentations to kind of be different from each other on within any certain episode. We didn't want that were like too much overlap or anything like that. And then we alternated the different days. So the way the release order will be, it'll be like an episode from group 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Very cool. That's super interesting because obviously, like, you could see like people had moved around. Like, obviously, Grant was in a different spot. Very important for Demi's presentation. Just delightful. So I had said about the first 3, I thought Traps was like the most like interesting. Demi's was the funniest, and Vic's was the most informative, and it made all of them like instantly. There was none that I was like, oh, this didn't like it. All of them I was like, they're all different and great ways. So like it really, I think, really did like the first episode really lended itself to that idea of like these 3 pair really well together. God, Demi's was so funny. I can't get over how funny his was.
The cool thing about his in particular was I think his schedule had just really been slammed, and he initially had pitched something else entirely. And as we came closer to like production, he was like, I'm so sorry, I don't have enough time to do the presentation. Like, I might just have to back out. And we were like, literally, please, what can we do to make this easier for you? Like, we want to keep you in the show. We think you're incredible. We really, really want to have you on. And he was like, well, I have this alternate idea, which I wouldn't have to like research or prep as much because it's already part of my stand-up. Like, I've already done this before at certain other shows. And we were like, well, great, we're open to that. And he's like, this is my topic. And we were like, okay, well, let's see. Is that okay? Because it was initially like, I don't know for certain. I think initially like the pitch was like cartoon characters who can say the N-word. Like, that was the title. And we were like, that can be a joke in the show, but maybe like make it a little more broad to like, who knows? We don't want to like put people, that's a little maybe too far. And then, like you said, it was so funny. The fact that he chose Grant as his kind of target was, I think he just was like, who in this group can I make my white guy for the presentation? And then obviously Grant is the funniest choice, and he was sitting right there. That wasn't even on purpose. I think he would have approached Grant no matter where he was sitting.
Yeah. Just a huge shout out to, well, first of all, shout out to the editors for that hard cut to make it seem like Grant really said it. And also a shout out to Grant for, I think, like the next day he posted on Instagram that if Demi hadn't kept cutting him off, he would have made some really great points, just really leaning into it. So good. Are there any presentations that you're really excited about people coming up that people are going to be, you think are really going to click with folks?
Yes, there are many. Episode 2 features.
And you can just tell me.
Yeah.
I was say, like, you just want to say like the names of the people. You don't have to give away any of the presentations. Obviously, we know like Jess Ross is doing Wrestling is Drag, and we've seen a few others that I'm really excited about that one from the trailer. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say that I'm really excited for people to see Katie's. Hers ran.
I believe that is eggs related.
It's eggs related. That's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer. It's related to eggs. It ran really long. Like, we had to cut that down by so much. But it's so funny. Teo's is really funny. It got everybody pretty much angry and out of their seats. I'm excited for people to see mine, of course. Like, I was like laughing so much at everybody's, like, it was hard to keep a straight face even as a presenter, because everybody was like doing funny bits and kind of roasting me during the middle of it, and that was really fun. Who else? Fumi Abe is a really funny stand-up. He was my same day, and his presentation was very funny as well. yeah, I'm excited for people
I'm
to see
very
this.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah, because I did so I do. My life's very weird. I co-host a podcast called the Dropout Drop In, where we just talk about things that happen on Dropout. And my co-host, huge PowerPoint party fan, and so it
Oh,
was like, we're gonna do that on like this week, and I was like, I've never done one, but I'll do my best. So
it's
I ended
really
up
good.
making one.
Oh
It was
yeah.
super fun. I made truffles are the new bacon enough already, and it was very fun to do. The other two hosts did like Dropout related, and I was like, no, I don't have anything for that.
All you need is a strong opinion, and that'll guide you. A strong
Yeah,
opinion, a funny insight, a weird theory, boom. That's all you got to do. If it's something that you could talk about naturally, the presentation part will come easy.
yeah, yeah. I'm really excited because obviously like super loved Vix. And obviously they did like an hour long version, I think, of
Mm.
that with on a podcast. I'm really excited to go back and listen to that. I have it downloaded, but I have not had time to jump in. It's very fun to find out that like some of these ideas have been floating around for a while for these comedians, and they're like, oh, now I can like get it into an official format with amazing graphics.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. I mean, we were open to that because it's an easier lift on them. These are very busy people. We want to have them on the show. So if they already have something that they've been working on and they want to use it for our thing, it's, totally fine. And in the case of Demi and Vic, obviously they were such good, funny presentations and they had so much to say about them because these are things that they had been thinking about for some time. So it just added to the strength of it.
yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, I know how busy Vic. So Vic and I don't know if you know this. I've accidentally started a podcast with Vic as well. It's very weird. We record after almost every episode of VIP, and truly one of the greatest boons of my life because Vic is so kind and so funny. I know you're on set for VIP.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what's it like? What's it like back there on set? Well, Tommy Shrigley is dumping protein powder into Vic Michaelis' face. Like, what? How do you live through that? Like,
So, yeah, I'm on set for most of our shows. That one was kind of like there was no proper showrunner, so it was me and David Kearns just kind of like both present. Now David is kind of stepping into the showrunner role for season 2. But it's so funny. We're there laughing and enjoying ourselves, but at the same time, we're kind of like on Messenger at the same time, kind of conversing between me, him, and Tamar, um, being like, what should our next segment be, or like what are things that we can do now, seeing how the interview has taken course. You know what I mean? Like once Tommy, once Zach or whoever the talent is has made a certain bold choice, what can we now do with that knowledge? So we're kind of like acting in real time and making quick decisions in that way. One example being Ali as pick number 2. I think it was Tamar's idea. Oh, why don't we show them pictures of dogs as like a sort of therapy? And so literally I pulled dog photos up on Shutterstock on my laptop and I was standing right there going one by one as they're looking at the photos of the dogs. So that was actually done practically. It wasn't like done after the fact, much like our green screen stuff. Um, and then with the dog at the end, which was David Kearns' dog, uh, we were like talking like,
yeah,
well, what if we brought in a real dog? And then I said to David, like, hey, like, what if about you go grab your dog? Like, you live kind of close. And he's like, oh my God, okay, should I? And so he like sped off, drove out, got his dog, came back in time for the end to surprise Allie with it. And so we're kind of like working. Our brains are going at full speed during the interviews, trying to give the interview shape. Because of course it's improv, but you want highs and lows, you want an arc. You can't just feel like random conversation. And so it's fun, but it's still like work. We're like in work mode.
yeah. I know. I know, like Vic and I have talked about, like they'll call for something and then they've been like, it just like magically appears, just like they bring in a thing. And we talked about that a while ago. My guess is they were thinking about the dog as one of those things of just like, hey, a dog's on set now, which is wild.
Yeah, I don't remember
That's
if because we pause and stuff like in between. I don't
Mhm.
remember if Vic knew that a dog was on the way. I'm forgetting, or whether that was a surprise to them. But Vic
Yeah.
does have an awareness more or less of what the props were in the back. We had like miscellaneous all-purpose props that could apply to anyone, and some that were kind of custom chosen or designed for particular characters that we anticipated might, because we don't actually know what the talent is going to pick as their character, but based on their look, on their vibe, we just had certain things ready. And so yeah, Vic would be like, "Oh, we have a book for you to take a look at," and then our PA Corey would like grab it and come through the door as though it had been like planned ahead of time, but it was on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I should say I know. Obviously, like the Nana book was males, incredible.
Yeah, it was like a makeup
And
palette or something. It wasn't even a book.
yeah, yeah, and I will say, having talked to Tamar and about that episode, that it seems like that one in particular, though, you all just got to like hang out and watch because Vic and Lisa just like crushed it so hard. You're like, we don't have to pause to tell them like, here's the next arc. They've just got it.
Yeah, yeah. That one I think is the one that had the fewest quote unquote segments. It was just kind of like a one shot mono scene. Um, we might have given a graphic treatment for like the story time one, like reading from the book. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was the one that we had to stop and start the least because they just ran with that insane character choice at the top and they just did it.
Yeah, yeah, I absolute magic. I mean, every episode, I'm so excited to see that show as well. Of just like how much fun it is. Obviously, that one was. I mean, in development of that, obviously you had something to go off of. Hello, my name is. Um, um, but was is that another one where you're like a long time of like, oh, we really want to bring back Hello, my
Mhm.
name is. How does it work? Who do we get in the host chair? How did that come about?
Yeah, so that show, you're right. It is inspired by Hello, My Name Is. And then we were gonna bring it back. I want to say like in early Dropout days, we were figuring out how to do it. I think it was going to be called like American Person or something, or American Mosaic, something like that. Like, and the idea was going to be meeting ordinary people and learning their stories, not too different from the version of it that exists now. But I think we were even going to do like in the field reporting. Here we are at this person's home, or let's take a walk with them through their farm, or like it was like a much more complex version. And at the time, I don't think we had anyone in mind for a host. It was just like a very broad strokes idea of the fact we just wanted to do this thing, but it seemed too ambitious to do that full version. And then nothing ever really became of it. And then once Dropout became the version of Dropout that exists now, we revisited it. We like looked back at it and we're like, well, what can it be? What can we be? And we were inspired by this kind of like Barbara Walters style interview with somebody like really funny and quick on their feet as the host. Vic was just like, everyone just agreed that they would make a great choice. And there wasn't really any like argument from anyone. We were like, yeah, Vic, like, we hope that Vic wants to do it. And Vic wanted to do it. And we're so happy that they did. The set, which we kind of call this Miami inspired 80s pink stuck in time
Mhm.
set, that was Tamar's vision. And it was such a cool choice. I mean, I love the color palette for that set, and we made the makeup area look really cool. Um, yeah, it just really gives it a visual, a distinctive like visual language. And yeah, like we chose the characters for it. We didn't really know how prescriptive to be about the choices. Like if, there's an early version of the treatment for this show where it was like I almost gave a spoiler. Where it would be like, okay, so Izzy Rowland's like Mother Nature look. So it would be
Yeah.
like, oh, what about like Mother Nature and she holds this thing and that thing and that thing, and we had like such a intricately detailed point by point look. And we decided to kind of pare back a little bit because if you give somebody so many things, it really locks them in. It doesn't give them much wiggle room to like really make something their own. So, what's an example? Like the twins, great. Casper and Jasper, they're twins. They can decide what that is. But we were gonna like give them like, oh, what if it's twins and they're dressed like Tweedledee and Tweedledum and they're both holding this and they're both, and it's like, no, 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 we can't go that far. We really have to give them room to breathe. And so that was that
Yeah.
was kind of like a learning process as well.
And God, Ja- the choice to become a married couple instead of twins,
Yeah.
so funny and
Yeah.
so like allowing them like that like wild choice made it so much better. Yeah, I mean, I know you all are now in like season 2 prep, which is very exciting. It's very cool. Kyle and I talked about it. He said seasons 2 and 3, and my eyes like lit up like a Christmas tree. And he's like, "Look, we haven't greenlit season 3." Just saying, like, it's good to be optimistic. Because and I was like, yeah, I mean, the show is obviously like it really like caught on something special. Paul Abdul follows it on Instagram. Like, it's a special show.
Yeah, it's funny to like talk about a season 2 and 3, or like I think internally we all want to make a season 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Like we all want that. But we kind of take it one step at a time because we have so many other shows we're juggling at the same time and we need to like be mindful of the response. And thankfully the response to this one has been really, really positive and it's been doing super well on social media, which is a big factor when we consider whether to renew a show or not, just because that's how our company grows. Like that's just how we sustain ourselves is by people discovering us on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So I hope we make many more seasons. It's so much fun to work on. And we've gotten so many like DMs from people being like, can I be in the next season? We're like, maybe, I don't know. Like we have such limited spots. I hope we get to make a million
Right.
episodes.
I mean, what a great problem to have, though, right? If like
Yeah.
a bunch of like incredibly talented, famous comedians want to come on our show.
I know.
Yeah. I know, like, well, I mean, I can tell you, Vic has said they want to make it for the rest of their life. So, like, you've got Vic at least locked down.
I hope it
Um,
happens.
yeah, yeah, it's such a fun like, God, it's such an impressive show of just like watching two, I mean, well, I guess 2 to 3 brilliant improvisers just absolutely like be comedic forces with each other. Would you ever want to get in the chair, get a look done?
Would I want to? Yeah, but my producer brain, my producer answer is I'm not the best fit for it. I mean, if we make so many that we're like, hey, we really need people to do it. Do you want to do it? I'd be like, yeah. But there are so many people who are more capable than me that deserve it more and who I want to put ahead of me. Um, Also, by the way, shout out to Alex Perron, who is our head makeup artist and leads the
What?
makeup department, because we
Yeah,
learned on set, like as we were shooting the show, that she had been nominated for an Emmy for her work on, I want to say, The Mandalorian.
it is the
Um,
Mandalorian. Yes.
so that was like really cool. We're like, oh my god, and we all got to like clap and applaud her.
Yeah, yeah. I chatted with Alex last week as well.
Oh,
Of
cool.
like, look, I think I've talked to more people at Dropout than anyone else in the world at this point.
Probably.
Like, I think you're number 30 in terms of Dropout employees that I have talked to. Um, yeah, Alex. I mean, just like so brilliant. I love also, like I talked to Alex about like that transition of Josh Rubin moment of him knowing every single thing that like she was
Mm.
doing in terms of makeup, and then being like, can we lie to them? And like that process of like, what if we try to fool them into what we're doing? I'm curious how that's going to work in season 2, especially if anyone comes back, of like they'll know we're trying to lie to them. Um, yeah,
That's
it's
true. But you know
yeah.
what? It doesn't really, I think it'll still be successful because any person who steps onto the game changer set knows that they're about to be
Mhm.
tricked or misled in some way, but knowing that doesn't actually really give them any information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, even with Josh, handing him that puppet at the last minute changed everything about that character
mhm.
for the better. My God, the ability to jump between Dr. Milk and Kelp, just
Kelp,
like Kep, thank you.
silent L.
Like I mind blown at how fast he was able to just like pop back and forth.
Yeah, he's truly a wizard. I don't think any of us even realized he was so good at puppeteering. We assumed he would be good at it, but not to the level that he was. Like it was really seamless.
Yeah. Do you have any like dream board guests you want to get on? Vic says Barbara Walters.
As a guest.
Yeah.
Who would I want to get on? Um, First person I thought of was Kristen Wiig, just because she for a long time
Oh,
was like my comedy idol. So I'll say her.
yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, and look,
Wayne
it
Brady
doesn't
too.
seem. Yeah.
He was
Oh
like,
God.
I
Wait.
have like memories from middle school of being like, oh my gosh, this is one of the most talented people I've ever seen. And so having him come on, make some noise was like crazy. It was
Yeah.
like
Having not
truly
only
like,
have him on make some noise, but
yeah.
saying two groups have gotten filmed improv done correctly. Whose Line and you. Did you just want to like walk into the ocean at that point and be like, "We did it, we're done"? Like,
No, I remember hearing that and I was so flattered. He said that as soon as he walked in. Like he walked in and he said hi to Sam and it was like one of the first things out of his mouth and we were all like, "Oh my gosh," we were in such awe. But I was also like, "Oh, I wish I had had my BTS camera out. Like, I wish I could have recorded that." Um, so yeah, that was truly very gratifying and I hope he had a good time doing it. It seemed that he did and maybe he'll want to come back and do more stuff with us.
yeah, it was It was such a delightful. Every bit of that was delightful. God, yeah, I think about him and Ross doing the Beastie Boys. So
Mm-hmm.
much, so good. Um, yeah. I guess that means, are you shooting a lot of the behind the scenes then that we're getting in those like week after?
Yeah. I basically, so on the Game Changer set, I am shooting all the BTS. So
Okay.
I go around with my little camera. Kevin Stiller shows me how to use it because I don't actually know anything about cameras. So he's like, just press this, this, and this. So I'm like, okay, great. So I'm going around like getting footage. And then I'm also the one interviewing people
Mhm.
for the sit down interviews for that. So whenever you see me talking on there, it's me talking to an empty chair. Actually, no, that's not true. Sometimes a PA will sit there to help me just with eyeline, but I'm just pretending as though somebody's asking me questions because nobody actually is. It's very weird. It's a weird feeling, but I don't know how else to really do it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's cool. It's a really cool process. My editor for those is his name is Wendell Smith. He's great. I'm so happy with how they've been coming out and seeing people excited to like learn more about the process behind some of these episodes.
Yeah. I mean, that has to feel good. That I think like people's biggest complaint about Dropout is the behind the scenes stuff is too short. Like people are like, I want a 40-minute episode of how deja vu works.
Yeah,
Like,
like longer than the original. You know
yeah,
what's funny
people.
is like sometimes I'm very present on like the Reddit and the Discord. Like I'm not always
Mhm.
actively talking, but I like browse it, you know, because I like to see what people are saying. And so if I see that certain questions come up or people are confused about a certain thing, then I'll kind of be kicking myself because I'll be like, oh wait, I didn't really get to talk about that during the BTS, and now I wish I had because I want that thing to be known or like that explanation to be more clear. So I think for future seasons, I'll probably make them a little bit longer. I mean, if people really respond well to them.
I mean, I have made a career's not exactly where I'm at on this yet, but I have made a weird space on the internet where I'm giving people like the deepest dives imaginable, like of like let's talk about Dropout for an hour. It's
Mm.
very like very technical stuff with like the people who do it. So there's definitely an audience that wants as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I literally there was a Reddit post like this week, I think, where someone was like, "Hey, do they have director's commentaries? Because I would join Dropout if they have like full director's commentaries for the episodes." It's
Dang.
like, someone was like, "They have behind the scenes, but not director's commentary," and the person was like, "Good enough for me," and off they were to subscribe. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
people. people love it.
Good. I'm
People
glad
want to
people like
know.
it. I think
Yeah.
if I guess if there are things that are still pending where people watch the behind the scenes and they're like, well, I still don't understand this part or that part or how they did this or that, then I could just come on and talk to you, and then that's like the
I
supplementary
yes, yeah.
behind the scenes to the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess then let's get into it. Was there a plan for if like Siobhan jumped in and stopped Sam from kicking Kevin's camera?
Uh, no. You know what?
Uh,
If any of them had tried to stop the kicking, maybe Sam. So actually, I won't speak for Sam. Maybe he had anticipated that. Maybe he had already talked to Kevin, like, "Oh, drop it anyway" or something. I don't know. But as far as I know, no, there was no plan.
yeah. I was trying to think of any other ones that I've seen, and none jump out to me of like a thing where
Listen,
someone's like,
there are so many theories floating around about that episode, and I just want to say some of the fans are like so observant about every little thing and think that those things have meaning, and oftentimes it breaks my heart. Oftentimes there's no meaning.
"Look,
Oftentimes it's just we thought this would be funny to do.
yeah, I should apologize to you
Yeah.
because I am one of those instigating forces on the internet. I didn't mean. Look, it's Sam's fault.
Hmm.
The season 5 poster broke all of our brains forever because now we're
Hmm.
all looking for like where the Swifty in us comes out and we're like we're gonna find the hidden clues that will
Hmm.
solve all of this. Um, yeah, when I was talking to Kyle, I talked about like the hands thing that Sam
Hmm.
does and how that spiraled, and he's like, "Look, I know about this because of your videos, so it's your fault." And I was like, "I didn't come up with a theory. I just maybe spread it too far."
I can see
And
why people would find it suspicious. Like it's something
yeah,
that he does. It's not really clear why he does it. The truth is that with the hands, it's Sam just kind of putting on like a little shtick as like an old time game show host. Maybe a little bit inspired by this, like, who am I? There was this character, this evil magician. But I saw some people even being more like like they broke it down even further, and they were like, well, if you track when he does it in each episode, it's a little bit later and let something like that. But the episode order isn't determined until after we shoot,
right.
so that's just random. That's
Yeah.
really just random.
Look, the fact that it did line up like that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
That like it kept the hand thing kept getting later in the introductions.
If I wasn't,
I'm
if I didn't know any better, yeah, I would probably be like, "Oh, this must mean something." I was super
yeah.
intense about that with like Beyonce's album drops. I was like, "What does it mean? She posted this picture. It must mean something." 11:59. Like I was like tracking all these weird numbers, like a conspiracy theorist. So I
Hmm.
get it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it gets the best of us. Yeah, I will say, yeah. When I talked to Kyle, he was like, "I just don't want people to be upset. Like the finale's great, but I don't want people to be upset that like this storyline that people have imagined is going to like
Yeah.
come to fruition." Um,
Yeah, I think people will love the finale, and I love the finale, but it doesn't like tie into the theories that are floating around deja vu. Well, like our episodes are kind of like
yeah.
they exist in their own worlds, basically.
Right. Yeah, I know. So many people were like, I mean, screaming at me, but like everywhere of like Jordan. He said the Sam Dalton Reich, and I was like, yeah, it's his middle name. Like, it's not like he didn't. He's
Oh,
not
really?
actually time. Yeah, he's not actually time traveling and like changing the like home videos. That's just
Oh
his
my
middle
gosh!
name.
Imagine it was
Uh,
like some like AI thing where we no, like
yeah,
we made his mom say Dalton.
yeah. Oh, it's like it's so much fun. I've tried to squash it now as best I can, and now everyone thinks I'm in on it, and that Sam has gotten to me, and I'm also trying to fool them. So it's just
Now that I know how enthusiastic people are about something like that, I mean, maybe it's something we'll try to do in the future. It's just
yeah,
it would take so much planning to do like a season
I
long
know,
thing with little clues hidden. Hey,
yeah, and
not
like
closing the door on it, but
yeah, and like remember, it was is it Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul where like they came out and they're like, there's a hint, and people instantly were like, the first letters of all the episodes spell Gus Fring is back. Like they like found it so fast. Like that's the one issue of like we've left small clues. If you tell anyone that, like it's solved because the internet is insane. Yeah.
I will say it's very, very funny that there was that shot that said VFX needed. Are you aware of this?
Yes, and then it got uploaded
It
again
got
to
uploaded.
YouTube, and
That truly was just an error. It is now gone. That is the funniest episode that could have happened on because it was so full of these
right. Yeah.
other potential clues. And I love that there were people that were like, no, it's on purpose. It's part of the VHS degradation effect. And maybe we could have just claimed that to like be like, yeah, it's on purpose, but it was just a mistake.
Yeah.
We're
Oh
human
God.
beings.
Yeah. Yeah. The mistake then followed by like re-uploading it, and then everyone's like, "Look, it's been re-uploaded. That means that means something because it's deja vu." Like the one episode of like if you've re-uploaded it, it will
I
mean
know.
something special.
Yeah, it's just a very funny coincidence there was that one.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say like God, I made a video talking about it, and it did terrible numbers, and I think I know why. But like anyway, I made a second video where I basically said the exact same thing, and it did much better. And I was like, this feels appropriate for this
Mhm.
episode. Of like, I had to make 2 videos in order to like reach half of the people that follow me. Yeah, but yeah, it's been. I know we've got a couple episodes of Game Changer left. Got obviously Beat the Buzzer is coming,
Mhm.
and because I've watched other Sam interviews, and then that final 2-parter of completely out of the studio, like 18 camera shoot, obviously like huge work. I obviously without spoiling anything, how good is the finale?
The finale is really, really good. I think it is the format of it is unlike any other episode of Game Changer. Um, what else can I say about it? I think there's some fun surprises. I think yeah, I can tell you that this is one that we originally planned to make last season,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had to punt it by a year.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out a way to do this on our set, and we couldn't. And so that's why we had to delay it.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, and we had to like literally drive somewhere far to like do this thing.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I I also, oh gosh, when I talked to Sam, he told me, oh man, I don't remember which favorite. There's because one of the episodes from this season I think is your new favorite.
Yeah, mine was Sam Says 3.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, boy, that was a special episode. Like,
It's so chock full of funny moment after funny moment after funny moment. Like, I can't believe how much we were able to squeeze into one single episode. It was just so funny. All the running jokes between the cast, the like not cursing and the wardrobe, and then the bus finale and everything. Like, I just loved it. I just loved that
yeah,
episode.
you get to be, I mean, obviously like really hands-on. You're keeping track of, I mean, similar to bingo, you have so much to keep track of in terms of like what's happening on set.
Shout out to the real heroes of that episode, which were the PAs, which were helping me with scoring, because it's it's everyone's trying to observe any kind of rule break, and so each PA was responsible for one cast member to make sure like they counted the right number of swear words, and then they would run up to me and whisper in my ear like, Jacob cursed twice, and I would like, are you sure twice? Okay, and then I would tell Sam, you have to tell Jacob it's -2 points, because we needed to make sure that these things were all correct, because if in the edit we discovered, oh, we actually didn't curse twice, then the points would be all messed up. The winner wouldn't have been as fairly determined. Like, so we really needed to be like locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, fully understandable. I also will say, like, Vic doesn't remember meeting Henry the Pig. I talked to Vic before the behind the scenes came out, and they were like, "Yeah, I never got to see the pig." And then, like, obviously, the behind the scenes came out. And I'm like, "Hey, Vic, what's up?" And they're like, "I genuinely don't remember it at all."
They were not. They were just on
Yeah.
another plane.
Yeah, I said something to Sam about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I like, there's like moments where like I like basically black out on set, and like it's gone." But like, I think that episode in particular, because it was so wild and so emotionally taxing, just like, truly so phenomenal. I had to go back and rewatch Escape the Green Room because I think Escape the Green Room is still my favorite. But because Sam Says 3 was so good, I had to go back and rewatch to be like, I don't know which one it is. I think it's still Escape the Green Room, but boy, Sam Says 3 is a close second. And
Yeah.
understandably in the Emmy consideration. So
Escape the Green Room was a huge lift. I mean, our editor, Sam Gear, really like brought it to the next level with all those inserts so that you can actually see all of the puzzles close up as they're happening. I think we like really wanted the viewer to be able to follow the action really well, and it wasn't initially very clear what was happening, what these puzzles were, what these clues were that they were supposed to find. We had to trim out a lot of dead air because a lot of it is just them scouring the room and not really doing anything or talking. So it was all in the edit. And yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah. We're at the hour. I don't want to keep you, but we do have Thousand Airs trailer coming this week. This won't come out until well after that has aired, so don't worry about if you're like going to say something about the show. The show to me, based on the 2 seconds I've seen of it, feels like Smartypants, but with a budget of just like you gave people $1,000 and they get to go out and do something. Is that the general vibe of it?
It's the general vibe. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's not that they were able to go out and do something. I will speak more freely about this because by now people have seen the trailer when they're watching this. But the premise of it is that we get a group of 4 together. We have rotating hosts. So Jess Ross is a host of an episode, Ryan Creamer, Erica Ishii. It's a different host every time. And the cast has all been given a budget of $1,000 to prepare a special surprise for the rest of the group. So in studio, they do a variety of activities, and you will see some glimpses of them in the trailer. And it's really cool.
I can't wait. That's so much fun. Obviously, like ton of stuff on the way. Kyle told me, I think 17 shows in some like form of development, which is so exciting and wild. Just hugest congrats to you of like everything that look, you're killing it over there. We love it.
We have a show coming out this summer that we haven't even announced yet. And I'm so excited for people to see it. It's a total surprise. It's got a lot of great folks in it.
Amazing. I can't wait. Oh, the scoop of the interview. A mystery show is coming with no other information. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and obviously, like Dropout Presents is coming soon. Like, so many fun things. All right. If the folks out there want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on IG at Paul. Wait, what is my handle? It's at PS Robalino. That's what it is.
Yeah.
S as in my middle name, Santiago. And then I'm still on Twitter. A lot of people have left, but I'm still on there, guys, because I like writing jokes and I don't like threads, so I'm still using it, but I don't call it X. I call it Twitter. And that's just my name, at Paul Robalino. You can if you're watching the Dropout behind the scenes, my handle's on there. You can just search me, you'll find me.
Yeah, you'll find it. Paul, thank you so much. This was amazing. We're gonna have to do this a million times. Every time people have behind the scenes questions, I'll just message you to be like, hey,
gather up the questions.
I got one for you. The weenus. Was the pointing an intentional reference to the video game Maze?
I watched that video and I sent it to Sam, and we were both like, I wish we had thought of this. So the very astute fan who came up with that theory, it blew my mind. You're brilliant. That's a total coincidence.
Incredible.
I thought it was amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I wish this was on purpose.
Yeah, I've been tagged in that video so many times. I can't wait to be able to go back and report back now. So many people are like, Jordan, you have to find out. I'm like, I don't know how to find out. I'm not just going to DM Sam randomly to ask him this question. Amazing. Thank you, Paul, so much.
Thank you, Jordan.
Absolutely delightful. I don't know how to end interviews, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.